Public service announcements. If you watch too much TV, this is what happens to your brain.
My husband won't take off his mask, even for sex. We're both vaccinated now. When will this stop?
That's what happens. Just turn off the TV, all right? Turn it off. I'm Tyler Zed. Welcome to Zeducation. Welcome to my channel, and welcome to another episode of That Didn't Age Well. If you are new to this series, here on this series, we highlight hypocritical and lying politicians, mainstream media, and celebrities and entertainers. And today, we have a lot. We have the mainstream media, some more COVID, things that didn't age well. Obviously, you have the intro, where this fear-mongering has been heightened. People are losing their minds. We've also got people like Hillary Clinton, who just won't go away, and she keeps pushing lies. But before we get to today's list, as always, please continue to support Zeducation by heading down and liking this video and making sure you are subscribed and have the bell clicked for notifications when new videos are uploaded. Now, on to today's list of things that didn't age well. Number 10. During the pandemic, money has been handed out like candy, like it's nothing. And a lot of fraud has come up with these business loans that are handed out. For example, a company in Minnesota called Sheila Big Fresh Oranges that received $17,000 in August of 2020. Now, the problem with this Sheila Big Fresh Oranges is it's virtually impossible to grow oranges in Minnesota, as they require temperatures no lower than 35 degrees. And I don't know if you've ever been to Minnesota in the winter, but 35 degrees, that is a hot day in the middle of winter. But the point of this one is the pencil whipping in the government is mad, as research was done and almost 378 PPP loans totaling $7 million were handed out to phony farms all over the country. $7 million. Easily scammed because nobody within this bureaucratic structure cares. Just whipping the pencils. Oh, oranges in Minnesota. Yeah, let's give them a loan. This is what happens when government gets way too big. Number 9. Speaking of incompetence in the US government, we go to the CDC director. When back in March, she was fear-mongering bigly. CDC director fears impending doom if US opens too quickly. And when she said this, she was on camera almost crying, terrifying the world, saying that this avalanche of COVID cases was coming and we're screwed. Places like Texas opening too soon? How dare them? This is bad. The country is in deep, deep trouble. But now, this is her tune. Dr. Rochelle Walensky to throw out first pitch at Fenway Park Saturday as capacity limits are lifted. What happened to Armageddon? This was only 2 months ago. And now you're out throwing the first pitch. Do you even know what's going on? Number 8. We go to the mainstream media, and if you listen to the podcast, you heard this example already, but just a reminder for anyone that didn't. Last spring, it was thought that the virus could have leaked from the Chinese lab, and people at the Washington Post, like this guy, were saying that that was insane, that it was almost impossible. Responding to Ted Cruz, saying, "I fear Ted Cruz missed the scientific animation in the video that shows how it is virtually impossible for this virus jump from the lab," or the many interviews with the actual scientists. "We deal in facts, and viewers can judge for themselves." Ted Cruz bad, Orange Man bad. This is the Washington Post. These are journalists. They deal in facts. And here's the same journalist from the Washington Post that deals in facts this May. New fact checker timeline: how the Wuhan lab leak theory suddenly became credible. Just dealing in facts. 1 year later, now that Orange Man's gone, it's okay to start talking about the real facts, right? Number 7. Over the last few years, there have been some in Congress talking about raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour, and some going even further, calling for things like $25 an hour. But that didn't age well, and it's not going to age well even if it does get to $15 an hour, because inflation is out of control. And this is exactly what is going to happen if the wages do increase. May 25th, 2021. AutoZone would hike prices to combat impact of $15 minimum wage. AutoZone is already seeing pretty significant inflation for some products. Making $15 an hour in the next few years might be like making $7 an hour after inflation fully sets in. This is what happens when you think money grows on trees. It doesn't. Number 6. In Atlanta, Georgia, this council member voted to defund the police. His name is Antonio Brown. And when he voted for this, he voted to withhold $73 million from the $218 million budget of Atlanta's police department, almost cutting the budget in half. Defund the police, guys. Screw the police, right? Screw them. This same council member had to call the police when his very expensive car was stolen. And his car, as of this post, was still not recovered. Who would you have called if you didn't have the police to call? I don't know. I don't know if this is karma or poetry or what, but that didn't age well. Number 5. These next 3, we go to Joe Biden. More campaign lies, more flip-floppage. Take a look at this one first. Back in 2019, when this photo surfaced of Governor Northam, Joe Biden had this to say about it. "There is no place for racism in America. Governor Northam has lost all moral authority and should resign immediately. Justin Fairfax is the leader Virginia needs now." But Joe, whatever intern runs your Twitter account, you guys gotta get on the same page, because this is what you said about Governor Northam now. Turning to Northam, Biden says, "Governor, I really mean this. I'm not being political. You've done one hell of a job, Doc. You've done a hell of a job, and it matters." Chastising him, calling for his resignation in one, but now praising him. Again, we all know you don't run your Twitter account, so whoever is, you guys got to get on the same page, because obviously this is what you endorse. You endorse people like this. And you have the gall to call others racist. It is just laughable. It's so laughable. Number 4, more Joe Biden back to his campaign promises. Do you have any student loan debt? Do you remember when Joe Biden said this leading up to the election? Biden affirms, "I will eliminate your student debt." And that was about a month before the election. A lot of people, a lot of really mindless fools voted on this. They thought that Joe Biden was their savior, their ticket to get out of debt for these pieces of paper that they have that they can't pay off. But this is Joe Biden in 2021 after the election.
Biden just dropped student debt cancellation down to 0. That's right. The Biden administration has decided to cancel $0 in student debt.
Joe Biden doesn't care about your student debt. He manipulated you into voting for him. All of you Bernie bros out there that wants free college and free, get rid of the student debt. He got you. Number 3. This next clip of Joe before we get on to Trump and Hillary Clinton. This is what happens when Joe strays off of the teleprompter. And even when he's on the teleprompter, he has trouble reading it most times. But this is very disturbing, to say the least.
I'm especially honored to share the stage with Brittany and Jordan and Nathan and Margaret Catherine. I love those barrettes in her hair, man. I tell you what, look at her. She looks like she's 19 years old, sitting there with her, like a little lady with her legs crossed. Brittany, you're doing triple duty as a veteran, a military spouse, and a teacher.
And just to put this in further perspective, him talking about this little girl, how she looks with her legs crossed, looks like she's 19. This is how old she is. She looks like she's about 6. This guy is in the most powerful office in the world, and this is what he's saying? You guys have a problem with this? Number 2, back to COVID and its origins. At the beginning of the pandemic, Trump started calling this the China virus. And the mainstream media tried to take that and run with it as some sort of racist thing. This is what they were saying and how they were trying to spin it.
Calling this the Chinese virus. There are reports of dozens of incidents of bias against Chinese Americans in this country. Your own aide, Secretary Azar, says he does not use this term. He says ethnicity does not cause the virus. Why do you keep using this? A lot of people say it's racist.
It's not racist at all, no, not at all. It comes from China. That's why. Comes from China. I want to be accurate. Yeah, please, John. Please.
The aides behind you. Are you comfortable
I have great love for all of the people from our country. But as you know, China tried to say at one point, maybe they stopped now, that it was caused by American soldiers. That can't happen. It's not going to happen. Not as long as I'm president. It comes from China. John, please.
2 questions.
It comes from China. And that's exactly why he was calling it this, because the Chinese government tried to blame it on U.S. troops. And Trump was trying to remind everyone that no. This probably, most likely, the evidence shows that it likely came from this lab. And now they're saying this. But again, they tried to manipulate this and spin this into a racial thing, because that's what they do. That's how they try to play identity politics. And I just want to remind you guys, the same mainstream media that is crying racism by calling it the Chinese virus, it's okay to say the South African variant, the Brazilian variant, the Indian variant. How dare you call it the Indian variant? That's so racist of you mainstream media. You guys are all doing this, but you picked out this one to try and make Trump look bad, because that's the word he was using to describe the virus. You guys are hacks. Identity politic hacks. Number 1. Another huge lie that the mainstream media reported on after January 6th was that Trump supporters murdered in cold blood Officer Sicknick. They bludgeoned him to death with a fire extinguisher. That's what they said, and that's how they tried to impeach Trump a second time and spin this to blame Trump, that it was all his fault. He killed an officer. Well, that lie was quickly debunked, but nobody in the mainstream media, knowing the DNC, told Hillary Clinton apparently, because she is still telling this lie. The other day she tweeted,
An angry mob attacked our Capitol, our lawmakers, and our election. They killed a policeman. And Republican leaders would rather we all not know more about what happened.
she's trying so hard, this dirty game she played for decades, which is now very transparent with the coming of social media and the internet. Like I said, this was already debunked, and nobody told Hillary apparently, because reported on by the Washington Post, her very own far left-wing journalist sites, reported that Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick, who engaged riders, suffered 2 strokes and died of natural causes, officials say. Died of natural causes. But again, remember Hillary, there she says, they killed a policeman. Hillary, just give it up. Quit lying. Enjoy your last few years here on Earth before you go and rest for eternity in the lowest level of hell. What do you think about today's list? What do you think about all these things that didn't age well? Joe Biden, very questionable things that he is saying when he goes off script. Hillary Clinton trying to remain relevant. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. While you're down there, please like this video. Please help me get it recommended to others. That's it for today's video. Until next time, I'm Tyler Zed, and this is Zeducation.
Idiots.